So 20% own two.
The magic of buying a second investment property or a second property. Let's talk about it. There is magic.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 483, Morning Minutes with myself, Michael BURGIO, Mark, Novak, the magic behind buying your second property. Sorry we're late. We're about to go live, and then Mark and I got into a little debate confirming data, and boom, before you know, 4 minutes passed. Like, literally, it was like, is it that? And then, yeah, we just love our numbers. So let's get into it. First of all, if you own one property, you are in the magic 6% of all Australians. So only 6% of our population own property, which is crazy. If you got which is insane. I thought it would have been a lot higher. If someone asked me, I would have said a lot higher. So
the numbers are crazy, eh? How many Australians own an investment property? 6.2%.
Yeah. Now, one property is great. Like 94% of other people don't buy it. But where we see wealth creation and unlocking almost a different lifestyle is multiple properties. That's just because you need somewhere to live. So you can't leverage your home like you can an investment, tax purposes, all other stuff. So it is super great if you bought one, but you need to be on top of mind to try and buy two, and if not more, which is super hard because of that 6% who own two, only 19% buy a second one. So that's even less, only like 5% buy three. So if you're out there, you've already got two properties or three properties, that's insane. You're in the top 5% of the 6%, which is crazy.
Yeah. Okay. So to give you this is where we this is where we had our debate. Okay. So that then means from one investment property. So there are 1.4 million Australians that own an investment own one investment property, which is equal to 6.2% of the population. Now, owning two investment properties is 1.6% of Australians. That's not a lot, dude. That's not a lot. No. Now they're the numbers, and let's hone down onto buying. Assuming you own your property, buying an investment property, the magic behind it, how hard it is or how easy it is, because things have changed very rapidly in 2021, and the magic has just happened. Why would people want to buy an investment property, Mr. BURGIO?
Yeah, so I touched on it in the monologue. Is it unlocks the wealth creation, which is probably why you bought property to begin with. You believe it's a way. Australians are very pro-property. Our government's pro-property. But what we see, there's a big difference after 30 years, even in your first couple of years of owning two properties compared to one. Because two properties unlocks the tax benefits, you can leverage it, you got write-offs, and it just really opens up the door. Wouldn't you agree, Mark? Like, you can't paint, like if you're maybe fortunate enough to have a higher income and you need some deductions, your accountant can't even use your family home. You've got to have an investment.
No, that's right. Well, you're giving a lot of money to the tax man for nothing. So it reduces you having to give the money to the tax man. But the biggest motivation that people have for buying an investment property for that wealth creation is a financial security for the future. So it's a nest egg for later. It's a nest egg for the kids. It's a nest egg for your retirement. It's a nest egg just to know that you're banking something and saving something for the future, so it's a little bit easier for you. So when you get into your 50s, 60s and 70s, if you've got an investment property behind you, you have people perceive that they have a more secure financial future. They're saving for the future.
Look at it this way, Mark. Okay, you're 30 years old. You're going to retire at 60. Most loans are 30 years. So in theory, you have it paid off. If you go option one, buy one property, you live in it. Let's say you never moved for 30 years and you've paid it off in your 60 and you retire. Let's take away your superannuation. You have no income. But you buy two properties, then after get to 60, they're both paid off. You still live in property A, but property B, the second one that you had to get a second job for when you're 30, is rented out at $600 a week. And now that's your retirement money. That's the key. You either sell it, cash out, and retire on that, or have the income. I think that's probably the simplest way to think, why buy a property? Because if you own your property and you're 60 and you're paid off, what? You're going to sell it and not live anywhere? Move in with your kids maybe, but you need two. Otherwise, you don't have that benefit. Yes, if you buy a big one to start with, you can sell it, downsize, but who buys a big one at the first? Like, who's buying a 3-bedroom house to live in, and then downsize to an apartment? If your first one's an apartment, what do you know? So I think that's the simplest way to play out in your mind why you need two properties. Not a want, you need.
So one property, when you say two properties, one that you're living in,
yep,
and one as an investment.
Yes.
And then you're going to be, so if you've just tuned in, we've just been talking about how many Australians own an investment property. We've just been talking about the 2 million Australians own one or more investment properties, which is 8.7 of Australians, 8.7%. Sorry, that's
60% own one, 1.6 own.
Yeah, sorry. The ATO states that 1.4 own one investment property, which is 6.2% of the population. Yep. Okay, great. So going to two investment properties, which means you own three properties, one that you live in and two that are investment, is 1.6% of Australians, which is a very, very, very low number. It's very scary. Now, $600 when you're retiring doesn't sound like a lot, but don't forget that you can always tone down on the property that you're living in, and you can sell the house that you're living in because the kids have moved out, then cash into a second investment property, and then you've got two properties bringing in income, and the property you live in doesn't have a mortgage. That's what 60 can look like if you've done well buying property.
Yeah. So how do we do it, Mark?
What's the magic? What's the magic? Okay, magic is the paper shuffle. It's the paper shuffle. So what's happened, without anyone realizing, is with that market exploding in 2021, in January, February, March, the values went boof up in property, and what that's actually done is built in equity to people's homes. That equity that's built into people's homes is now ready to draw down on to go and buy that second property. It's literally shuffling that paper around on a table. Bang, you've bought your second property. If you've got your stable job, you've now got your equity that you've built into your property because the market exploded. That's the magic.
Yeah. And this is why it's very important to always get your property appraised, do a health check annually, because the trigger is once you've got basically that 20%, so you always basically need to keep 20% in the property. If it's $1 million, you only can have a loan of like 800,000 typically. So if let's say you buy it with a 20% deposit, once you get another, it goes up 20% in value, you pay it off, or goes up 10 and you invest 10, you pay back 10%, then you've got the 20% which you can use to buy another property. So sometimes you don't actually, if you look at Monaval, Mark, like within a year, it's gone up 40% in 1 year. So anyone who bought, it's gone up 40%. They should realistically get a new valuation, get the 40% uplift, and then instantly go buy an apartment or another house. They've got the equity in 1 year. So that's what, like, some people may wait 2 years and put more cash in, or wait 8 years and put no cash in, but the equity. It's just, that's what you're looking for.
So the magic of buying a second property is equity. Guys and girls, you've just tapped into a shitload of equity in the last for 2021, because property prices have gone up so much. You do not have to be a hero and buy a nice 2-bedroom unit. You can buy just a little studio as an investment, or a 1-bedroom investment for as little as 400,000 or 500,000, 600,000. Now, how much you're going to need a 20% deposit on the second investment property, the second property you're going to buy, which is your first investment property. Now, on a $500,000 property, that is $100,000. Here's the question: have you made $100,000 in the property that you own in the last year? If the answer is yes, you can tap into it.
Yeah, and couldn't you do a 10% deposit on the investment? If you're using,
you can. You're going to be up. You're going to be up for mortgage lenders insurance.
Mortgage lender.
Lenders mortgage insurance, which is going to cost you a little bit. But yeah, absolutely. Which means 50 grand can put you in a position to buy an investment property if you've got that tapped into your property. So it's much easier to buy your second property than your first property. But most people get gun shy, confused, scared, don't know. But it's really a paper shuffle. That's the magic that we're talking about.
You know what I said last show, where it's like, when everyone's looking to buy, they just think positive, and then when they're bought, they just read all the media. Bubble's going to burst, property shit, bubble's going to burst, do this, do that, and they get distracted. So that's why I think a lot of people also stop and don't get their second, because now they hear all the negative noise, where before it was just like, I'm buying it, I'm saving. And then they're bought and they're like, have I made money? Oh, they say the market's going to go down. Bitcoin's here, this crypto, then all the noise, and they just don't do anything. So the people who stay focused, leverage it. Can
you show us old mate on the graph?
Yep, I'll bring that up here.
The old mate's head. But guys, where do you start with buying a second property? I know we're saying it's magic, but where do you start? You start off in your head. What's the motivation? And it tends that everyone's motivation is financial freedom in the future. Here's some interesting information. Terry is
typical real estate investor, likely to be male. 1/3 of investors are female. I think that's a lot more now, actually. So this is a couple of years old, but I remember reading something. I think it's a lot higher. More likely to be self-employed than owner-occupied. 20% of investors are self-employed compared to 19% owner-occupiers. Likely to be married. 72% of investors are married. 42 years old.
Wow.
Net annual income, 103K. Excluding the top 100 investors, 79. Okay, that's probably a better data, because obviously the top 100 are making millions a year. They could be like your CEOs. So take them out, it drops down to 79%. So very, very realistic income. That's cool. We'll put do you want to put the link to ATO thing in there as well? I'll put this old link in.
Absolutely.
So this had some good data as well, this website. Property investors. So I'll put that in there for everyone. Also, I'll put the text of anything else you want to add into that, Mark?
How are you going to do it, guys? We're going to help you buy your first investment property, which is your second property after your home. This is how you do it. First of all, why are you going to do it? Is the motivation there? Do you want do you want a better financial future? Yes. Second of all, what are you going to buy? What's to get into the investment market? What's the cheapest entry level? Stick to what's under your nose. Where are you going to buy? Establish that. Okay. You've established that that's 500,000, 600,000, 700,000, but don't be scared. it's not, you're not sleeping on your money. It's generating an income. It's not like the house you just bought. It's different. Okay, so the house you bought's just worth $1 million. The house you bought has just gone up this year to $1.2 million. There's $200,000 there that you can use as equity, providing you've got more than 80% in there. Okay, so if you've got more than 80% in there at the beginning, and then you've gone up from 1 to 1.2, you've now got another 20% in there. So you can use that to buy something. 200,000, if you move that over, if you've got the income and you've left 80% in your property, and I'm getting confusing, you can buy something for as much as $1 million. Or you can tap down small. If you've got 100,000 in equity, you can buy something for $500,000. But like Michael, you mentioned lender's mortgage insurance, you can always get that. You don't need a 20% deposit. So guys, the magic in buying a second property is tapping into your equity, and equity has just exploded this year.
And the two people to speak to make this, or if you're sitting at home, you're like, okay, I'm keen to find out how I can do this. There's really a broker and a real estate agent for how much yours is worth. An agent, and you ask the agent, I would say to the agent, I'm not selling, I'm looking to see if I can buy a second property with equity, because the broker is going to organize a valuer. So I'll do the agent first to even see if you're in the rough ballpark, because if the agent
may sell you investment property.
Yes, but before we get there, you'd go to the agent. I bought it for 800 grand. It needs to be worth $1 million for me to buy it, to pull out equity. And the agent says, oh, no, it's worth 900. And go, okay, no worries. We'll wait. Oh, it's worth 1.2. Okay. Then you call the broker, say, I want to use the equity to buy a property. Agent says it's gone up plenty. Let's organize a valuer. The valuer is the key figure. That's why you'd tell the agent it's for finance purposes, equity, rather than selling, because there's some agents out there that will tell you higher just to get your listing. So you need to just say that is my view, is my opinion. And then the broker, then you go back to that agent and say, hey, I'm ready. I'll buy something from you. So help me out. I think that's a wrap.
That's all, folks. That's a wrap.
Cheers. Bye.
Look after your financial future and buy an investment property.
That's it.